Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we've arrived back with our colonist transit / experience gathering device, and we have finished our colony on Minmus-ish. I mean, we still need to finish acquiring our 1,200 units of fresh ore, but let's hop over into our mission control here. Position a satellite in a stationary orbit of Gilly. Actually, we pretty much need to put a ComSat over Gilly anyway. So we'll go ahead and accept this one. That one sounds good. So we'll put a communication satellite over Gilly in Hello, KSpedia. In preparation for the Toolbar Controller, you can go away. I keep hitting the wrong button. Fantastic. In preparation for the colony going up, we can definitely do that. So let's go into the VAB here. And we're just going to create ourselves a better ComSat than what we've had previously, but we're going to modify it a bit, I think. So we're going to base this off of probably basing it off of the Gilly landing machine. I doubt we're going to need this much fuel in this state here, because this is going to be a lot lighter. So let's go ahead and detach here at this liquid fuel engine. So we're going to ditch everything up here, and we're going to be basing this around a remote guidance unit. So I think an M001 is the size that we want, considering we're scaling down like this. That's even a little large. Okay, so like a 001S. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so this is just our Terrier, correct? Yeah, okay. So we're going to base it off of this remote guidance unit. And that's absolutely fine. So we're going to put in a little bit of fuel. We're not going to need much. We're probably wildly overkill on the fuel already. All I'm going to put in here is a single T400. It's not going to be much at all. So that's a Kerbal. We want a T400 here. There we go. We've got a reaction wheel in here, and I want to switch this variant over to be like this one. That'll be fine. Just the default one. Yep, sure. Okay, so we're going to need to get ourselves a little bit of power generation here. I'm probably going to go with, like, the... I kind of like these photovoltaic panels. So we'll put a pair of those on. That is these guys. Fantastic. On top of this, we're going to put a relay antenna, the biggest relay antenna we've got. That is the RA100 relay antenna. This is going to be our standard long-distance ComSat, by the way. I want to check here, how much would that be occluded by the antenna? Not much at all, in theory. Okay, cool. We are going to put a thermometer on here so that we can grab science data if we need it. So we're going to put on a too-hot thermometer, something along the lines of this. There we go. And then we'll need to put this in a fairing. This doesn't need anything other than this. This is completely fine. What is our delta V? Oh yeah, this is way more than enough. Okay, so we would put in our decoupler here, and then below this we need a fairing. So we'd put in a 1.25 meter fairing, like this guy. And I'd want that to get a little bit bigger than this, ideally. Ooh, that might not be able to get big enough, actually. Well, it's awkward. No doubt about that. We're going to have to bump this up to a slightly larger fairing. That is definitely awkward. So 1.875 meter. Something kind of like that. It's a little bit bulbous, but it'll get the job done. And I think that means that we can ditch this fuel tank adapter. I don't think we need the amount of fuel that we have here. We definitely don't need this mobility enhancer either. So we're going to save this as the, just as the long-range communication machine. Perfect. We'll save that. And this should have enough delta V to get to Gilly, right? I don't think there's going to be any real problem with that. Because, I mean, we've got a lot of fuel here. This is a light payload. This is our heavy lifter. Like, this should be heavily overkill, I believe. Let's check our staging. Our staging should be pretty basic. That's looking good. Yup. The fairing is going to be automatically deployed. We'll just toss that in kind of like that. Cool. Like I said, basic staging. Excellent. Do we need any batteries on this? In theory, no, but if we want to transmit science, we may want to have like a little bit of battery space on it, but I don't think it's necessary. I think we're fine. I think we are fine. We're mostly just going to use this to bounce signals. And if we transmit the thermometer, that's a tiny amount of data. And we can always just do a not requiring complete. So it'll be fine. We'll go ahead and launch this, and we are going to head off to Gilly. Fantastic. It's a light payload. I don't expect this to be... like, this is going to be pretty overkill in the amount of fuel. I'm pretty sure. So what all contracts do we have, and what orbit are we going to be targeting in Gilly? Because we do have to get to a specific orbit. So let's see here. Plant flag on Eve, science data from space around Gilly, plant flag on Gilly. Yeah, those are all fine for now. And 0 degree inclination, 42 kilometers above the surface. Hold stationary orbit directly above zone 56C3. And have a resource survey scanner on the satellite. I should have looked at that. Okay, so we need to revert this back to the vehicle assembly here. We need a resource survey scanner on this thing. So, let's take a quick look there. And we're going to have to enter... We're going to have to enter above the correct zone. That's going to be interesting, for sure. I'm not actually sure how we're going to handle that one. We'll tackle that when we get there. So for the moment, we need our resource survey scanner, correct? Not a surface scanning module. We need a resource survey scanner. Is that this guy? Or does the surface scanning module count? This guy's pretty big. Let's try the surface scanning module. We'll see if that works. If it doesn't, we'll add in the other one. So we'll just go ahead and save that and put that out on the pad. Let's see if that counts for the contract. I'm not 100% sure. So let's put that out there. What do we got? Any moment now, KSB. You can do it. You can do it. I have faith in you. Okay. So does that count? The answer is... no, it does not. Cool. So we'll revert that back to vehicle assembly. That's fine. And we're going to need to put on our resource survey scanner. So we get rid of the surface scanning module. I was hoping that would count. It's much smaller, but we'll see if this ends up being an issue. Like, this thing is huge, right? If we do this, it's going to be sticking out of the side of the fairing really awkwardly. Indeed it is. And I'm also thinking that's going to mean that our thrust is offset from our center of mass. Hypothetical solutions. This works, but defeats the purpose of having our relay antenna. Okay. And this should count as a resource survey scanner. Let's find that out. We're going to come back in here, but I want to make sure that this part counts. I don't want to spend a bunch of time figuring out how we want to design this craft, only to figure out that this part is not the correct part. So let's double check that. Let's verify that this part is correct, and then we can figure out how we want to put this all together. Okay, so let's see here. Yes, this counts as a resource survey scanner. So we'll revert that back to vehicle assembly. We do definitely need to have the relay satellite on there. So, hypothetical options. We could move the thermometer down to here, place the survey scanner on one side like this, and then try to offset that mass. If we ditch the decoupler here, we can see the mass is definitely a little bit offset over here. So what if we offset that mass using our relay antenna on this side? What is the mass differential between these two parts? Well, I think it's pretty clear that the relay antenna is heavier. So the relay antenna is 0.65 tons, and if I don't minimize the game, the resource survey scanner is 0.2 tons. That's a big differential. Okay. Noted. So the thermometer should definitely be on this side. No doubt about that. The thermometer itself only weighs 0.005 tons. So, we need to do something to test here. First things first, we save this. It's ridiculous looking, but we need to test to see how offset our thrust is going to be. So I'm going to put this out on the pad without saving it. And we're just going to simulate this in orbit and see if the thrust is controllable or not. This engine does gimbal, and we do have a reaction wheel on here, so we may be able to compensate for the offset mass. Let's find out. So we're just going to place this up in orbit here, just to simulate. We'll go ahead and extend our solar panels. And we don't really care where we're pointing. Okay, a little bit slow to rotate. We're trying to compensate. It's a little tough, though. If we flip around to prograde, that's reasonably swift, but then once we get here, we have a bit of a hard time. Okay, so let's revert that back to vehicle assembly here. And we are going to open up our current ship, which is this one. I want to get the booster back in here. And then we detach the booster and place down here an SAS module. So I just want to see how that ends up going. We don't need a small one. A medium is too big. Just a standard SAS module. Something kind of like that. Okay. So we'll save that, and then we will detach our decoupler here, place this back out on the pad, and simulate that, and see just how bad our offset is there. So we're not trying to fix the fact that the mass is offset. We're just trying to add more attitude control to compensate for it, is the idea here. And we're going to be ditching the resource scanner on future launches if it's not required by the contract as well. Okay, so let's simulate this real quick. Okay. I'm also noticing that we've only got we have more than 592 meters per second here. Okay, let's go ahead and head over to prograde. That's very quick to rotate. For a second it said we had 500 here, but it just hadn't updated. So we've got about 2358. That's more than enough. Okay, this is reasonably solid. Excellent. So we'll revert that back to vehicle assembly. That is absolutely great. And now we're going to open this up. The main question at this point, if we load this in, is this part physics-less? It's clipping out of the fairing, and there's not a lot we can do about that, although we could, I guess, try to stow it a little bit using, like, a robotic piece. We could attempt to use, like, an alligator hinge to be able to stow it sideways, mounting the alligator hinge, like, up here, and then placing this like that. Then the alligator hinge would be able to set its angle to be 0 later, like that, and this would be mostly within the fairing. We can rebuild the fairing to fully encapsulate it. Something kind of like this. Oh, that did not close together the way I had intended. Okay, there we go. Something kind of like this. That would do. Yeah, that should do the trick. Mass will be slightly more offset, but I'm not too concerned about that. Let's go ahead and save this and launch it for real this time. I'm pretty pleased with this. Well, I'm not, like, super pleased. It's a fairly basic solution, but it works. Or it should work. It won't be too far more offset once we have it hinged up. We're just going to have to be careful about the actual hinging, right? But I don't think it'll be a problem. I think we'll be fine. So throttle up, SAS on, and off we go. We are headed to Gilly. I hope. It should be fine. It should be completely fine. So we're just going to start our gravity turn here. It's maybe a little bit on the late side, so I'm going to go a little aggressive with the manual turn here. Pulling it right on over. Beautiful. And we'll lock to prograde here. Fantastic. So how are things looking in terms of our time to apoapsis? It's looking decent. We do want to push up through this atmosphere as quickly as we can, of course. Our ascent trajectory is maybe a little too horizontal now. We'll see how that ends up going. But our vertical speed is still increasing, so I'm reasonably okay with this. Time to apoapsis is still going up by a reasonable margin. It seems fine. We're going to be picking up some heating effects up here probably, but I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, we're going to have our side boosters detaching in about 15 seconds. And yeah, this time to apoapsis is up over a minute, but the apoapsis height is only 34 kilometers. We definitely have a lot of horizontal speed here. That's for sure. Away go the side boosters. Apoapsis height of 47 kilometers. I think we're okay. I'm not going to make any major modifications to our ascent trajectory here. I think it's fine. Yeah. I think this is reasonably ideal. Not entirely, but reasonably. I am going to send us over to get more horizontal speed soon, though. Specifically now, because we are about to exit the atmosphere in our apoapsis. So that's okay. Cool. We'll continue burning here till 100 kilometers. And then we'll do our... I'll exceed 100 kilometers a little bit, to be honest. Because we're going to have a little drag. And then we'll circularize that. This is 87 kilometers. So we'll go to like 105, I think. There. Something like that. That should do. At our apoapsis, of course, we are going to circularize. Something along the lines of this. Cool. We will head over to that maneuver node. And at this point, we can ditch our fairing. Goodbye, fairing. Beautiful. Once we hit space is when we'll unstow this alligator hinge. So we're at 60 kilometers right now. Looks like 105 was a bit much, but that's okay. Cool. How are we doing on our electric charge? We have none. Well, that's exciting. That's very exciting. We have no electric charge here. We're going to have to... Oh, we can't throttle up either. Okay, we have no way to actually get electric charge. Well, this is actually just dead. I knew I should have added those batteries. I knew I should have added them. I did think that we would survive long enough to extend our solar panels. I did think that that would be a thing. But we're out of electric charge. We've only got 15. I'm used to having 50. That's why. So we're going to have to go back to the Space Center and untrack this. That is a failed launch. Unfortunate, but we'll have to add batteries in. I keep forgetting that the remote control unit only has 15 charge in it. That's entirely my own fault, to be clear. 100%, and we'll hop into the tracking station, we'll untrack it, the money is lost. Unfortunate. So, we failed to make orbit there due to insufficient battery charge. The good news is that's an easy fix. So we're just going to hop in and add more battery. We could even theoretically add a, like, emergency solar panel to the sides that doesn't have to be deployed. That's another option. I do think adding battery will be the way to go here, though. So we're going to just drop that right below the remote guidance unit, and all I'm going to do is add in, like, this... Let's see, a 1K is going to be too much. We need, like, a 400 here, I think. Or no, 1K is correct. Okay, that's going to be more than enough battery charge. Definitely. We'll go ahead and launch this now. That problem is fixed. Cool. That was definitely a little unfortunate, but it was entirely my own fault. Like, I said it was unfortunate. It wasn't bad luck. It was bad design. That's what that was. Cool. So let's get this fixed and get that up there. I was hoping to be on our way to Gilly by now, but unfortunately, problems ensued. So up we go. I did like that ascent trajectory, though. That trajectory felt pretty good. So we'll try to replicate that a bit. So it was around here, and then we went over pretty aggressively to about here, and then locked prograde. And overall, broadly, that felt pretty good. Now, to be clear, a big part of the reason why we ran out of electric charge when we did was because we had a very long coast phase before we hit space and could deploy our solar panels. So you could argue that that was the fault of the trajectory as well. But overall, I think it's fine. I'm not too concerned about it. So up we go here. And we are, of course, pushing through the thicker portions of the atmosphere. We've got another 30 seconds of burn in our side boosters here. I think our trajectory is a little bit more horizontal this time, isn't it? Maybe? It might be. Lots and lots of horizontal speed, but that is a good thing. Okay. It's definitely a little bit lower, a little flatter of a trajectory here. Okay, we ditched those tanks. All is good. And we're pushing our apoapsis height up. We're fine here. We are losing a little bit of delta V to air resistance that I don't think is strictly necessary, but we should be fine. We should be completely fine. So that's an apoapsis height of 50 there. Cool. We're going to continue chilling here for the time being. And we'll head over to the horizon once this apoapsis height hits 70. Cool. We've got a lot of burn left in this tank. We just shifted over to orbital mode. 64, 65. Okay, let's switch to stability assist now. And let's head to the horizon. This isn't very far off of prograde, but it is a little off of prograde. Cool. And we'll burn here once again to about 100. I'll burn to like 102 this time. Okay, 103 it looks like. Sure. Now we've got that coast phase, and this is where we ate up our electric charge last time. You can see we only had 15 electric charge. This coast phase was where this all got eaten up. So that's fine. And specifically, it's because I went over to the maneuver node. That's specifically why. So we'll go ahead and deploy our fairing here. Fantastic. And we will set up our circularization maneuver again. Oh, that was too aggressive. Any moment now. There we go. Okay. That's roughly circular. That'll do. And this was where our electric charge got eaten up last time. Look at that. That makes sense. That makes sense. So we're going to hit space momentarily here, and we will extend our solar panels. So yeah, at this point in the flight last time, we were out of electric charge. Yep. And that was when the flight was doomed. Fantastic. But this time we're completely fine. No problems. We're going to extend our solar panel now. And this one. And then we're going to flip this guy up to 0. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to commence this burn in about 3 minutes, so we're going to warp on forward towards that. in about 30 seconds. 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. And off we go. Fantastic. So we are entering orbit of Kerbal here. And that's good enough. Excellent. And from here, we need to head off to Gilly. It is, however, time to put a cut in here. I was hoping we'd get a little bit further than this. I would like to have gotten our moon transfer and gravity assist out of the Kerbal system done by now, but it is what it is. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, MLohan80, Kentogan, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Kadra, Unisol, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.